Welcome to the first Bill Post radio show on the internet. and it's going to be a daily update that we're going to do, and hope to do it every day. I'm coming to you from the comfort of my living room. Look, here's my leather sofa. It's great. I love this sofa. So anyway, it's going to be a little bit different. We'll see how this goes. As you can see, I am Bill Post, and I am running for House District 25. And it's over here. This is still the Bill Post radio show, and I remember Oregon when it was right. That hasn't changed. You can silence me a little bit, but you can't silence me completely. And I want to say right up front, this has nothing to do with KYKN radio or any other radio station. This is mine on my website, just like anybody else's website. Anybody in the world is free to be on the internet and do their own radio show. There's no FCC involvement. There's no equal time. There's no equal access. There's none of that garbage. This is mine. YouTube is a public thing. My website happens to belong to me. And so there's nothing here that's breaking any kind of laws or anything like that. Sorry, I'm adjusting the mic a little bit because we're still trying to figure out how to do this. So anyway, I'm gonna every day I'm gonna try to bring you 20 to 30 minutes of condensed version of what we normally do. Obviously, I can't take phone calls and I can't take emails, but you can send me emails later on if you'd like. You can still send them to bill@billpost.com. bill@billpost.com. Would love to get your comments on this. I haven't even come up with a name yet. I think we're going to call it the daily political commentary, something like that. But I'm going to kind of do what I did before, which is just tell you what's going on in Oregon. And I have my laptop over here with some things loaded. I have a few things that I've printed out. So here's what I'm going to start off with today. Because it's Tuesday night, it is 8:30 here. So whenever you watch this, just know it was Tuesday night at 8:30, Tuesday the 11th. It was filing deadline day today in Oregon. If you're running for office anywhere in Oregon, you had to file today by 5 p.m. So that was kind of exciting. As a candidate, I was able to go to the House floor and stand around with all the other candidates and look up on a big board and see my name up there under House District 25 along with my opponents. And then all the other folks, representatives, senators, lobbyists, a little bit of everybody was all there. And it was an interesting experience. Never done anything like that before. But what I wanted to get to, because we weren't able to do it on Monday, I want to talk just a little bit about what happened this past weekend. The real potential divide in the Republican Party in Oregon. You had the Dorchester conference that went on. And at Dorchester, you had, according to people gathered there, they thought they had somewhere around, I'm hearing different numbers. I'm hearing anything from 400 to 700. Now, when I get to the story about the vote that they took, you'll see what I mean by the numbers are kind of hard to understand. The organizers are claiming there were about 700 people there. Maybe there were, maybe there weren't. That's not important to me. What's important to me is that Dorchester was met over at Seaside. It's the 50th annual Dorchester Conference put on by former Senator Bob Packwood. Let me just say this. If you're a woman, I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, a non-affiliate, I don't care what it is. If you're a woman and you are associating yourself and allowing yourself to be associated with Bob Packwood, let me just be real clear. You need to take a look at yourself in the mirror. You need to check yourself. Because Bob Packwood is a molester of women. He is a dirtbag. And why anybody in this party or in this state would still idolize this man, I have no idea. You talk about the war on women. That's a war on women. Ask the women that he abused how they feel about him. So he's in charge of the Dorchester Conference. And all these people go over there, and he gets up and gives a speech. I'll tell you a little bit about some of the things that he said in that speech. Basically what you had was a bunch of establishment Republicans from the Portland area, for the most part, going over and getting drunk and celebrating whatever it is that they celebrate. And they have some discussion, and they have some talk, and they have some this, and they have some that. But what you had were establishment Republicans from Portland gathering together and whipping the troops up, so to speak. They were not joined this year by most of the conservatives in Oregon, who are also Republicans, or may not be Republicans, but conservatives, because they were over at a meeting that I was at, which was in Clackamas at the Monarch Hotel, and it was the actual name was I forget the name, but it was Oregonians for Conservative Values Rally. There were over 750 people in attendance in Clackamas. Now we know that number because Kevin Mannix, who was one of the sponsors, had a little over 700 packets that he was giving out to each person as they came in. And he ran out of packets. I mean, he yelled. He says, "We're out of packets." And there were still people flooding in. So we know there were 750 plus. And that was on 10 days' notice. They set this up 10 days before Saturday. And 750 plus people showed up down in the basement of the Monarch Hotel in Clackamas. It was pretty cool. The point is, it was a pro-life, pro-traditional family gathering. Carol Tobias, who is the National Right to Life president, was an incredible speaker. Some of the things she said, quote, "Abortion remains one of the hottest issues in the country. This fire is not burning out," she said to us in the crowd. Representative Jason Conger, the Republican from Bend, who is running for U.S. Senate, whom I am endorsing now that I'm not on the radio. I don't have to hold anything back. This is my internet station. I am endorsing Jason Conger for many, many reasons, one of which is his pro-life stance, his pro-traditional family stance, his pro-Second Amendment stance, all the stances that he's taken in the time that he's been in the legislature. And people who are barbecuing him over the Cover Oregon vote are ignorant. They're not listening to what's going on. They're not paying attention to his vote. So I am telling you, I am supporting Representative Jason Conger for U.S. Senate. So let's just get that out of the way right now. Anyway, he stood up and this is what he said. I think this is great. Now, this is what I call a conservative conference. We're not navel-gazing at the beach, trying to figure out who we are. We know who we are. See, that's the kind of U.S. Senator we need. By the way, later on he said Dorchester was the, let me see how he put it. I want to make sure I get this correct. Den of hedonism. It was. If you went to Dorchester, I understand there was a lot of conservatives that did go to Dorchester because they wanted to make the argument for traditional marriage, and they wanted to debate. And I understand that, and I'm not knocking you. But what I'm saying is, it was a den of hedonism. It always has been. Come on, it's a big fat party. That's what it is. Everybody goes to their meetings, and they have their debates, and they do this and they do that, and then they all go to the parties at the private houses all around there. That's what got Matt Wingard in trouble. See, again, this is the internet. I can say things that I can't say on the radio. Matt Wingard got in trouble because he had parties. He had young ladies and other things going on. Page 2. The great thing about this was this. Jason Conger stood out both at Dorchester in debating the doctor from Portland, Monica Webby, but especially the differences showed on taxes, the sanctity of life, and marriage. We don't know where she stands. Well, I think I know where she stands. Part 2 of this, the Dorchester Conference. Monica Webby won the straw poll that was done. The straw poll is, everybody in attendance holds a straw up and they count and blah, blah, blah. She won 182 to 131 over Jason Conger. Let's go back to the numbers at Dorchester. They claimed they had about 700 people. 182 to 131. I don't have great math skills, as you well know. 182, 282, that's under 400 votes. Now, there were a few votes for the other candidates, but they totaled about 6 and 7 and 16. So, look, there was under 400 votes. What, did everybody go home early before the straw poll? Anyway, Monica Webby wins it. Let me just point something out about that. Is it a big deal that Monica Webby won the straw poll at Dorchester? Some people might say yes. Let me point out some little history. Let's just go back 4 years. 4 years ago, Alan Alley, when he was running for governor against, at that time I think there were 4 candidates total. Yeah, there were 4 candidates total. Alan Alley won the straw poll, 225 votes over Chris Dudley's 165. How'd that go for Alan Alley? And God bless Alan Alley. I happen to like him. He's my dear friend. But the point is, the Dorchester straw poll is, who cares? It's a bunch of establishment Republicans over in Seaside who get together and go, let's have a drink afterwards, a martini, and we'll get together, and then we'll do this vote. It's horse hockey. So, my dear friend Alan Alley, he won that straw vote, but, that didn't do him any good because Chris Dudley beat him in the primary. What did happen at Dorchester that was newsworthy to me, that other stuff, that's not newsworthy. This is newsworthy. What happened to Dorchester, and you've probably heard about it already, is that they also did a pro-same-sex marriage vote. They endorsed the same-sex marriage ballot measure, which, by the way, may not become a ballot measure. It may not make it that far. There may be a judge in Eugene that rules against the 36th amendment Measure 36, which is an amendment to the Oregon Constitution that says marriage is defined between one man and one woman. At the Dorchester Conference, on a 233 to 162 vote, the people in Dorchester said to the social conservatives, and they voted to support it. I can't even read this anymore. When this news came out, I knew it was coming, but it's pathetic. What they did was they thumbed their nose at we, the social conservatives in Oregon. Do you think, let me just ask you this, do you think the 750 people plus that were over at Clackamas would have voted in favor? So what would that have been? That would have been 233 to, 900, maybe 1,000 votes against? Do the math. The other news that came out over the weekend that I didn't, obviously couldn't get to on Monday, now that we're going to do this every day, I'll try to keep up with things, was Carolyn Tomei. What did she tell? It was remember she recited the Pledge of Allegiance. Do you remember that? I wish I could play an audio cut for you. I would. No Justin here. It's not the radio show. If I played that, you would remember Carolyn Tomei last year, 2013, when the legislature was opened up with the Pledge of Allegiance. You remember when she said, "One nation under love"? Yeah, that State Representative Carolyn Tomei, the Democrat from Milwaukee. The good news is she's out of here. She retired. She didn't run for re-election. And tonight, when I was at the Oregon House and the big board was on the wall showing who was running where, both Democrats and Republicans in what districts, no Carolyn Tomei. She's out. Phil Barnhart, the Democrat from Eugene, also out. So here's the thing. We have a Republican. His name is Tim McMenamin, who is running in House District 41, the Republican. So we're going to want to throw some support behind him. Also, Greg Matthews, the Democrat from Gresham, not running. Let me ask you this. Let me go to this. I'm going to transfer over here to my laptop, and I'm going to read this to you. There were some surprises tonight, some not so much surprises on who is running where. Let me run down real quick what's going on. First, let's go to the Oregon House. There are 60 districts. So what I'll do to you for you is read to you those that have Republican primaries, challengers, and then those that have Democrat challengers. Let's see, in House District 2, there are 2 Republicans running. There are 2 Democrats running. In House District 3, there are 4 Republicans running, no Democrats running. The clear leader in that particular race, that's House District 3, is Carl Wilson, who used to be in the Oregon legislature. He's coming back. In District 4, that's Dennis Richardson's district, who, of course, he's now running for governor. Dwayne Stark is the Republican running there. He does have a Democrat. Let's see, what else do we have? In District 9, Casey Runyon, pro-Second Amendment guy. He's been on the show many times. He's running as a Republican, but he also has another Republican running against him to take on Caddy McEwen. Let's see, what else do we have? Let me see, any other surprises? Here was the surprise of the night. In District 18, a lot of people unhappy with Representative Vic Gilliam over the driver's card, the Mark Hatfield statue, and many other things over the years. He has a Republican challenger for the first time in I don't know how long. And it is none other than David Darnell, chairman of the Marion County Republican Party. Now, I believe this means David Darnell needs to resign as chairman. Just my opinion. I don't know if there's rules. I don't know if there's precedent. I don't know what. But I think that he should resign as chairman. And I miss that. He's a dear friend, and I want him to stay there. But he's chosen to run against Vic Gilliam in District 18. District 20 is a mess. There are 4 Republicans: Carl Erickson, Terrence Taylor, Kathy Goss, and James Owens. The smart money is on Kathy Goss because the caucus is supporting her and lobbyists are supporting her and she has money. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That's it. One of the other big surprises was in House District 23. Jim Thompson, the longtime incumbent out in Dallas, he is being challenged by Polk County Republican Chairman Mike Neerman. Former chairman, Mike Neerman. That was a pretty cool, I liked that one. House District 25, by the way, I'll tell you why. Remember, Representative Jim Thompson, I like him a lot, and he's endorsed my race. I like him a lot. But he came out in support of the same-sex marriage, and to me, that doomed him. I think this should be moved up, don't you? Yeah. That's making a lot of Republicans out in Polk County very upset. So now Mike Neerman is going to run against him. Then you get to House District 25, which of course is Bill Post for House District 25. I do have an opponent. I'm not going to say her name on here. Why should I give her any publicity? I have a Republican opponent. Okay? And it is in House District 25. There is no Democrat running in House District 25. There was a man running. He changed, and he is now going to try to take on Kim Thatcher in Senate District 13. There is nobody running against Julie Parrish. Bill Kennemer has no opponent. And those are in various... So, really, those were the highlights that I wanted to get to you before we ran out of time here, because I don't want to take a whole lot of time here. Just keep in mind, Greg Pareto over in House District 58 has a tough Republican primary against John Turner. John Turner backed by the caucus. Now, if you go to some other things that happened tonight, people who ran, of course, you have the statewide elections. For governor, there are 5 Republicans now running, 2 Democrats. The guy we talked about on the radio the other day, Ifeanyi Daru from Nigeria. And then Bureau of Labor and Industries, Brad Avakian is running. The 5 Republicans running for Senate. We have in CD1, we have Delinda Morgan, Bob Niemeyer, and Jason Yates. We support Jason Yates. In District 2, Greg Walden is running again, the incumbent Republican. Dennis Linthicum is running against him. In District 3, James Buchel is running to take on Earl Blumenauer. In District 4, Art Robinson is running to take on Peter DeFazio. In District 5, there are now 3 candidates, Nathan Page, Ben Pollock, and Tootie Smith. I've not made a decision on one of those yet. The Senate was not so confusing, other than there was that surprise of the Democrat that was running for House District 25 is now running for Senate District 13 to take on Kim Thatcher. His name is Ryan Howard. So you'll want to help out Kim Thatcher in that one. And that's really all of the important races that I wanted to talk about tonight that are coming up. Now, let's talk about the future of what's going on here. So let me explain quickly of what's going on with why I'm not on the radio. I want you to understand this fully. We have been in full compliance with the law. Here's what happens. We didn't talk about this before on the radio. We didn't talk about it ahead of time. We didn't talk about this because we didn't want our opponent to know FCC law like we knew. This is, I mean, all is fair in politics, right? The way the FCC law writes is this, and I'm paraphrasing here. It says this: when I'm on the air and a candidate, nothing changes, which is what you've seen for the last 2 months. Nothing's changed. I filed in December, 3 months. I filed on December 17th. I've been on the air all that time. 6 weeks ago, my opponent filed. We knew that the only way that I could be taken off the air was if the opponent sends a written request to the radio station for equal access. So 3 hours a day. On Monday of this week at about 10 o'clock, we received that letter at the station. That's why I was not on the air Monday, and that's why I'm not on the air now, because we now have to offer equal access. And of course, we're not going to give her 3 hours of radio time every day. That would be crazy. The owner, Mike Frith of the radio station, that's terrible. So I'm off the air. We did not break any laws. We followed the FCC laws from day one. We studied this and we understood exactly what we were doing. The day we got that letter, we knew I was going to have to go off the air. That's the short explanation of a long, long story. But that's how simple it is. As far as any campaign finance violations, I'm going to tell you right now, they've not shown us anything. They have to actually send a written summary of that to the Secretary of State's office, and they have to file accusations against me. And then at that point, then if the Secretary of State says they're valid, then she comes to me with a letter and says, you need to address this. I have a wonderful treasurer who knows exactly what she's doing. We've dotted every T and crossed every I. You know what I mean? We've been very careful. There would be nothing that we've done intentionally. If we've done something unintentional, well, that's, everybody makes mistakes, and we'll own up to those mistakes, absolutely. But we've not made any purposeful anything wrong. We've not done anything illegal that we know of. But what people don't understand is this whole FCC equal access thing. I did not have to get off the radio until the letter came from an opponent that says we demand equal access. So that's how that works. And I hope you understand that. If you don't, here's what I want you to do. Email me, bill@billpost.com. bill@billpost.com, and ask me about it. I'll be glad to write to you about it. So I've used up enough of your time. I didn't ever want to go more than 25 minutes or so on this. We'll try to do this every day. Just get together like this and give you the daily updates of what's going on in Oregon and what's going on with my campaign. If you'd like to learn more about my campaign, go to billpost.us. billpost.us. I could really use volunteers for this Saturday. We're going to try to knock on every door of every Republican in Keizer. Only Republicans. We're not just knocking on doors randomly. We have maps of where Republicans are who vote, and we're going to knock on the doors, and we're going to hand them a piece of paper that says, hi, I'm here for Bill Post, who's running for House District 25. Bam. Just like bam, that's it. Just hand them the thing, and that's all we're going to do. And we're going to give you free food, and we're going to have a great time. Saturday, we'll meet at 10 o'clock. We'll go out at 11. We'll knock on doors till 1, and then we'll come back, we'll eat, and we'll go home. I would love to have you join us if you would, but I need to know who you are. So if you would go to billpost.us, and there's a button at the top that says Engage Bill. Press that. Fill out as much information of that as you want us to have, name, address, phone number, email, whatever you want. Email, though, you need to put in, and then check the boxes that you would like to be involved in, including the walk. That's what Walk and Knock is. If you check that, then you'll get an email this week telling you exactly more about our Walk and Knock event on Saturday. I really appreciate your support. My listeners are the best people in the world. You. Hang on, can't figure out where the camera is. You are the best people in the world. I miss talking to you on the radio. You don't know how bad it is. It's like telling an airline pilot, you're done, you can't fly anymore. It's hard. It's really hard. So I hope this little thing that we do every night on YouTube will help me a little bit get it out, and it will be enjoyable for you. I would really covet your comments. You can comment on this page, right on the YouTube page. Just scroll down to where it says comments and put your comments there if you'd like. Keep it clean. Mama's watching. And then you can also, as I said, email billpost@billpost.com. And if you want to learn more about my campaign, billpost.us. All right? So until tomorrow night, aloha. See you tomorrow.